it is a level of physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional connection.
Yeah.
Heart, soul, mind, strength. It is a connection on all four levels, right? And if it's only mental, wherein this is what you say you got to do, and physical, better get it on, honey. There's some serious stuff missing there, and the relationship will absolutely suffer.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Caroline Howard, a biblical counselor and certified life breakthrough coach.
And I'm Chris Oneth, marriage and family therapist and executive director of Downey Park Counseling Associates.
Welcome to Our Next Question, where we attempt to answer the questions of life through conversations in psychology and Christianity.
Remember, this is a place of discovery and definitely not the final answer.
Thank you for clapping. I was not on the ball. What are you doing? You're in your own little world.
I think my life is a musical.
Oh.
I like that.
I do. And what was that show called? And they were based in San Francisco. There was a couple seasons of it.
Who, what, where?
Oh my gosh. I think it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
And like her life literally was a musical. She heard songs in her head.
Oh.
I know kind of what you're talking about.
That we're talking about?
It is. And I was like, that's my life. Like I hear music in my head. Like people say stuff and all of a sudden it's like break out in song and dance.
I hear the Carson theme all the time.
It's the clown theme whenever you're around. I'm just kidding.
Whoa, I'm not sure how to take that. Let me lick my wounds. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
We're back.
You've tuned into what? Our next question.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, did you find the name of that show? You were looking.
Was it Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist?
Yes!
I just found
Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist.
Oh, that's the show that you were talking about.
Yep.
If you haven't watched it, you have to watch that.
Let me look up the IMDb.
So
He needs to know what the world thinks about it before he knows what he should think about it.
Oh, that boy! You must be
That's what I'm
talking. You must be talking to my wife.
look at that. See, you are. That's what, we didn't even catch that on the last one. Our question today. Well, before I say our question, for all you parents out there who maybe listen to this with your kids, you are so brave if you listen to us with your kids.
Right.
Hopefully we're not messing them up too bad. We are talking about sex today.
A little bit.
Our question is sex mandatory in marriage?
Right.
So you might want to listen before you let your kids listen.
Yes.
Or, hey, just...
Do not skid off the road trying to smash the dial
right?
off.
Plug your ears.
Yes.
So there's your what's the word I'm looking for?
Content warning?
Content warning.
advisory.
Which we probably...
Advisory statement.
We probably need a content warning before every
who knows?
episode.
Okay. What is our warm-up question today?
Okay, I'm just going to throw this one out there.
Sure.
If you could eliminate one thing from your daily routine,
Oh my gosh.
what would it be?
Well, I don't know that we all have a routine, whether we
all
know
have
it
a
or
routine.
not. I am prone to say I don't have a routine, but I don't know. So
But
how
you
about
do.
one of you guys go first?
Okay. Do you have something, Caleb?
My commute, I would just teleport.
Ooh.
Oh.
No, all things being equal. I mean, you can't just
That's
snap your fingers and
good.
teleport.
Okay, fine. So
The
for
technology's
me,
not there.
honestly, I think it would be any time like I spend scrolling on my phone.
Oh, that's
okay.
Whether that
good.
be when I wake up in the morning or when I get home from work or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
That's something I want to eliminate from my daily routine.
What's keeping you from doing it?
My brain. I don't know.
Your brain.
So,
Bad habits. and-
Side note, oftentimes we scroll, we're looking for rest. It's not really rest.
Uh-huh.
It's a pseudo rest. It's like drinking soda when you're thirsty.
Yeah.
It doesn't quench your thirst.
If it's Dr. Pepper, it's
No, see,
No,
Oh,
doesn't-
that. That's where you're wrong,
See,
Caroline.
there's a right and wrong.
Wow.
That's right.
My perspective is it does.
Okay.
We'll lean in and see what Caroline's problem is here. I don't know.
Yeah. What is your
We
problem?
haven't figured. No one's figured it out yet.
Okay, then.
We're still trying.
Okay.
So, how about you? What would you eliminate from your daily routine?
Can I just say like my whole morning routine?
Oh,
Wow.
Getting up, getting dressed, putting on makeup, doing your hair.
well, why?
It's just so time consuming.
Oh,
So,
Well, I mean-
no. Okay, I don't see. There's so many things.
okay.
Sometimes I just feel like it's Groundhog Day. And it's like, oh, here I am taking like vitamins again. Here I am making my green drink again. You know.
You got to spice that stuff up.
I'm going to squeeze some lemon juice in my green drink this morning. How's that?
Put some Dr. Pepper in there.
Off the rails.
Caleb, that's
calm
just wrong.
down, Red.
That is wrong.
Well, does it do good things for you, though?
Oh, heck yeah. If I don't drink it, I feel like crap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
there
I
you
do.
go.
I like the benefits of it. It's just that whole monotony. It is
There's a lot
getting
involved.
up. How about getting out of bed? That's what
Ritual.
I want to get rid of in my daily routine.
Ritual, yeah. Yeah.
Could I just stay in bed all day?
This kind of like that has me thinking of, okay, there's the one question, what would I like to get rid of? But then the other that I keep thinking of follow-up question is, what am I willing to do to get rid of it? Maybe nothing. So in one sense, I entertain. Yeah, okay, I might like to not do that anymore. But
see, and I'm thinking if you eliminate it, can it just be done? Like it's, you know, like I want to eliminate my commute so I can just teleport. Great. I want to eliminate getting ready in the morning. I just wake up looking like this.
Oh, I woke up like this. I woke up like
exactly.
this.
So
wow.
like, there's like two, like
That's
you could
such a
ask the
lie.
question so like different ways.
You gotta.
What's a lie that I woke
By
up?
the
It
way,
is a lie that I woke up.
My
like this.
morning maintenance is, as you can tell, not
a lot
very
to do the
involved.
hair. Yeah.
Not very involved. So I don't know that. I would like to. I've been on this rut of sleeping in. I don't know. Maybe I'm fighting off an infection for the last 3 months. Who knows? But I would like to, because part of what I love about summer is I love, like getting up early and being outside in the quiet so. Maybe part of my routine is I don't want to sleep in, man. Okay, so maybe that involves part of my routine the day before is going to bed earlier.
Yeah. So then, so flip that. What would you like to add to your daily routine?
Going to bed earlier?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What would you like to add to your daily routine, Caleb?
More time and like meaningful and restful activities.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Reading, walking,
Okay.
playing musical instruments.
I would say this. I would say reading. I would love to add reading to my daily routine.
Ooh.
Like just sitting with the book,
Yeah.
not listening to the book, like actually have the book and read it in some quiet space outside when the weather's nice.
See, I've done things where I've had it where I'm listening to a book audially, but I'll sit outside and just put the phone with the audio book, and it helps me to
I'll say that
think.
works.
Huh?
I'll say that would work.
Yeah.
But you're right, not multitasking with this.
Right.
Because whenever I do audiobook, it's always
driving
multitasking.
somewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, yeah.
Okay, then we're going to get to bed earlier. We're going to stop scrolling. We're going to read more.
And we're just going to be ready when we wake up.
And we're going to be ready when we wake up. Bottom line.
Okay.
Okay, then.
Next time
Glad
I'm just
that's
gonna
solved.
next time I'm just gonna roll out of bed and come, and you guys are gonna be like,
There you go.
oh yeah.
You're going to be like, see how much maintenance it takes to look
add
like
that back
this.
into your routine, Caroline.
Right. Okay, why are we talking about this? Is sex mandatory? Why are we talking about this?
Oh, there are so many great reasons. For one, I think did you come up with this topic?
I think I
and
did.
I was like, heck yeah, let's go.
So where does the idea of mandatory sex even come from?
Honestly,
Yes.
I think it comes from 1 Corinthians 7 being
yes.
that-
So people would say the Bible.
okay. So I'm
What's
I'm
up
gonna
with
read that. Right?
Oh, please, thank you. I was going to
welcome.
read it, but yeah.
Beat you to
You
it.
can read
Ha, ha.
better.
So now for the matters you wrote about. It is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman. But since sexual immorality is occurring, each man should have sexual relations with his own wife and each woman with her own husband. The husband should fulfill his marital duties to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but yields it to her husband. In the same way, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but yields it to his wife. Do not deprive, this is where it gets sticky. Do not deprive each other, except perhaps by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. Then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. Now, I'm going to keep reading, but everybody stops right there.
You're absolutely right.
They stop right there.
I'm glad
and that's
you keep
where,
going.
That's where they're like, sex is mandatory. But
Depends on who's saying it.
right, he continues. I say this as a concession,
Right.
not as a command.
Not the whole word. My gosh, that really muddies things.
Right? I wish that all of you were as I am. but each of you has your own gift from God. One has the gift and the other has that.
Right.
So
what version is that? Is it the NIV?
I think it's new. Yep, it is.
Okay. So in the ESV and other versions, if I'm not mistaken, it says give to your wife her conjugal rights. It says about the wife first.
Ooh. All the women are like, yeah.
They're like fist pumping.
All right.
So we got to unpack this, dig into it a little bit. But with the general understanding that this is where it's come from, the idea that, and here's the layers of this. Yeah. Unfortunately, this has been morphed into that if a wife doesn't give into her husband sexually upon his request and demand, that will cause him to sin.
Yep.
And he will go seek it from somewhere else, either pornography or attention from other women. Yep. So what does that do, of course, but puts the burden on the wife?
Yep. And so can I just say right now, that's not true.
Absolutely not true.
Absolutely
and that's
not true.
The other tough thing is it's bad on a couple levels.
Yeah.
Because first of all, it's bad putting the responsibility of where he puts his attention all on her.
Yeah.
And then it's bad in the sense that, well, men can't control themselves.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Men can't control themselves, so get married.
Women have to control ourselves.
Oh,
so that a man
gosh.
can control himself.
Oh, my word.
And control the man.
So I should, right?
True that. She then becomes the gatekeeper.
So I shouldn't show my elbow that has been covered because too much elbow.
I told her she's shown too much elbow today.
But it is so, as a woman, it has become so distorted and maddening. Yes. And I mean, I've even been told in the past, well, you should, if you want your marriage to be better, you should just have more sex.
Wow. Better for whom?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so even that deserves some argument because it won't be better for him. Because if the thought is, I just need to, and I hate, again, this is where you got to cover the kid's ear. Essentially, if you're just going to your wife and getting it, quote unquote, done, then you're essentially just masturbating with her.
Right. And then you're creating like sexual abuse issues.
So, and by the way, make no mistake about this, if it is without her consent, it is rape.
Yeah.
It may not be forcible rape.
Right.
But if she is like, I'm not there.
Right.
And there's a multitude of reasons why she may not be there, including the way the dude is behaving.
Right.
So dude can't behave like an idiot, have his wife totally turned off, and then be like, well, the Bible says you got to give me sex.
Right. And so then
what the heck?
You manipulate her, you bug her until she gives in.
So a lot of women and lots of studies have been done, especially by, is it Sheila Gregoire?
Yep.
The Great Sex Rescue.
Yep.
They've done, there's this huge studies, 20,000 or something, which is a substantially large sample.
Yeah.
And there's a corresponding relationship with dissatisfaction in the sexual relationship and the idea that women have to give mandatory sex. Because it is not enjoyable for her. Nope. It is often a duty. And even if she is willing to do it, it becomes I got to take care of my husband because of his needs. Well, what she's not doing is saying, well, wait a second, I have needs too.
Right.
And then he is not able to grow by paying attention to his wife's needs and helping himself be attractive to her.
Yeah.
It really then, now we go. It really then boils down to sex going back to being a drug that she has to supply. And if he doesn't get his drug, then he's going to throw a temper tantrum. And I've seen it.
Yeah.
And then because the other part of this is if he is masking over some of his internal dysfunction with sex, then he's not digging deep and having God work in his heart.
Right.
So believe it or not, her saying no could be the best thing for him.
Yeah.
Oh, so there you have it. It's true.
Mic drop. Done. No, No, I'm glad you're saying this and it's not me sitting here saying this, so that men, you're hearing this from a man. This isn't me as a woman
I've
sitting here.
abdicated the team. No,
right? And it's, that we just think like men are entitled to sex and women are obligated to give it to them.
Yeah, and it puts, which is the other irony, is it puts an additional load on the wife for the emotions and taking care of the home, another aspect of the home.
Right.
Which then, believe it or not, turns her off more. And then guys wonder, like, what the heck?
Here's what I love, sarcastic, is that, and this is when my kids were little, this is what I heard a lot from the church we were at the time, was...
Care to name names? No.
I might in the next episode.
Oh, boy.
You have little kids. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was a homeschool mom.
Oh,
I'm
gosh.
tired at the end of the day.
Oh, sure.
And then my husband comes home and wants sex. But I'm like, I got nothing left to give.
Right.
But because my church was telling me that's my duty as a wife, that I have to do that. And so therefore
No wonder you're so bitter.
I should. Shut up.
I'm just
so rude.
There was low hanging fruit. Yeah.
Mike, I almost did some sign language there towards you there, buddy.
Oh, fair enough.
So then I'm told, well, maybe you should take a nap when the kids nap so that you have energy when he gets home.
Put that bow in your hair
maybe
so you look all ready.
You should, spend more time in the Word.
Oh,
I was told that.
Oh, it's a spiritual failing.
Yeah, it was all about me. You should be more on top of your chores and getting the household together so that you're not so exhausted at the end of the day. Nowhere in there was it said to the man, hey, if you desire something from your wife today, why don't you jump in and say, hey, I'm bringing dinner home.
Oh my God.
Hey, I'm going to take the kids. I'm going to give them their baths.
Bringing
none of it
sexy
was
back.
like, right? So, anytime. No, never mind. We're gonna go past that one.
So it reminds me of the Facebook with the scrolling and the things. The time lapse videos really wrote me in. And so they have this time lapse of this bird building a nest, and I want to call it a finch. I don't know birds from a hole in the ground, but this little finch goes to build the nest, and before he builds the nest, the ladybird jumps in it's a lot like in a box, right? Yeah. She jumps in the box. She spins around a few times, jumps out of the box. He jumps in the box and then goes to work building the nest.
So it's like, you're going to build it so I fit in it, right?
Well, I think what that is she's like, yes, this is good. I like this. He goes, I got it, baby.
Okay. Men, be more like a finch.
There you go. Right.
Women just spin and then let the man do the rest of the work.
There you go. I want this. And yes, there's an aspect of the man saying, I got this. And there's a certain, in our culture, we value the hero ethos. Where, oh my God, oh yes. Now, granted, that can have Christ implications where someone greater than us comes to us to save us from us. But at the same time, there's built a trust aspect where it's like, hey, I know my husband has this. I know he's taking care of me, right? And that is, we talked about a few episodes ago about how to deal with stress. Yeah. And that takes off an additional load. So essentially, if there's at all a hint of coercion in the sexual game, then you're doing it wrong.
Right.
Right. And so then it gets into the question of, what is sex for?
Procreation,
right?
That's it.
That's it, exactly. That's it. If you're not making more babies, then
according to my son, we've only had it 3 times because I've got 3 kids. He was seriously shocked to find out that wasn't true.
Literally, one of my sons told me the same. When I told him the birds and bees situation, he got this quizzical look in his eye, and he looked at me. He goes, "You mean to tell me you and Mom did that 4 times?" It was River. So,
I love you, Riv.
So of course I'm trying not to laugh. Right. I'm like, well, son, at least. And then I had to go run to my wife and explain to her what her son just asked me. So, awesome. So what is it for? Right? It is a level of physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional connection.
Yeah.
Heart, soul, mind, strength. It is a connection on all 4 levels, right? And if it's only mental, wherein like, well, this is what you say you got to do, and physical, better get it on, honey. There's some serious stuff missing there, and the relationship will absolutely suffer.
Yeah.
And people wonder why. And this gets into our last episode, the whole right-wrong thing. Then the assumption is, well, she's doing it wrong because she's not giving it to me.
It's all her fault.
But dude, ask yourself why. Come to some, not just yourself, but your wife. That might be important to get her opinion. FYI. So then it begs the question, what do you mean by sex? Like,
no.
Like, what is sex? Like, and I ask that not to be silly.
Right.
But sex is it's an act of, that takes time, takes energy, it takes thoughtfulness. And if it's been pornographied, in other words, he just gets off,
right?
That's not sex.
Right.
That's a one-sided equation.
Yeah.
In which case it's just masturbation using your wife.
Right.
So making that mandatory for her then steals her agency.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So and again, it goes back to masking the real need you might have, that you might be masking over with the drug of sex.
Yeah.
So then how do you get around? Like, I mean, I think it's pretty clear in the passage where Paul says, I say this as a concession. And unfortunately, people have taken that as a binding law.
Right.
So,
but Paul's saying it too as a man who was pure. Like, I mean, I don't want to say pure because you can have sex in marriage and you're still pure, but he was a man who, like he said, like, I don't struggle with this. This isn't my thing.
And what he's also doing is addressing the church in Corinth who had some specific issues. Right? They are dealing with legalism. They are also, one of the things they're dealing with is they were dealing with abstinence in marriage, believe it or not. They were like, oh, no, my wife and I don't have sex, because they saw sex as something as dirty, right?
Yeah.
And yet they were going outside of the marriage and getting prostitutes to have sex. So go figure.
I mean, that's why they needed Paul to talk to them.
And so his emphasis was that it is a mutual occurrence, for one. And again, you can't get past where he first says, give to the woman her conjugal rights. And so he said, I mean, that is pretty clear, which again, we want to mask over and get to the, but it says my wife's body belongs to me.
Yeah.
And my body belongs to her.
And we can only deprive each other for a little bit of time. Then we have to get back
exactly.
to it.
But again, part of the emphasis there is by mutual consent. So it's a mutual endeavor. It's not a singular endeavor. And if it ever is a singular endeavor, well, okay. Endeavor, then you're going to have problems.
See, and some people will say, well, that mutual consent is we both have to agree to not have sex for a little while, and I'm not agreeing to it, so we need to keep having sex.
Then you got to get back to what is sex for? Is it just for relieving yourself?
Right. What's your issue that you need to work through?
If it is, then okay, then I can understand you just saying, well, she needs to meet my needs.
Yeah.
And if it's all about you, then good luck with that.
Yeah. Have a happy marriage.
Yeah. And you wonder why stuff is difficult.
Right.
But if it's a mutual endeavor and where you both feel loved, appreciated, heard, understood, man, buddy, you better be taking your time. Yeah.
And it is just sad. Like who we're talking about, Sheila Gregoire, who wrote the book, The Great Sex Rescue. I love following her on Instagram because there's so many Christian written books out there.
Right.
And a lot of them are aimed at men who have warped this.
Is it aimed at men? Because I've heard a lot aimed at women too of what they should do.
Well, probably both, but a lot of the men ones, I'm like, oh, I've read that, and I read that book. But you're right, there are women's books too. And I love it because she does a thing like called "Fixed It For You." And so
I was just thinking about that. Melanie points that out a lot.
Yes.
There, I fixed it for you. She's the one who does that.
She's the one who does it.
Okay.
So like she, I was gonna find a good one. this is from the book Every Heart Restored, which is a marriage book, and I know a lot. I read this and tried to live by it for a while.
Okay.
And in the book it says, men are promised regular sexual release by Scripture. And she fixed it.
Oh, that's what
the book says.
That's what the book said.
That's what the book says. Yeah. And she fixed it for us and said, men are not promised regular sexual release by Scripture. Wives are not sex blow-up dolls, and sex is about more than his ejaculation.
What?
Sex is supposed to be something mutual, intimate, and pleasurable for both, not something one-sided. So pretty much everything you just
Super glad
said.
I'm sitting down for that one.
But yet, this is what is being preached and taught.
Well, and again, the frame around the sex is mandatory is a pornographication of imposed on the Christian culture, I think, by the general culture.
Yeah.
In that sex is so stinking important that if you don't have it at all, something is horribly wrong.
Right. Right.
Because the other part of this is there's also out there singleness.
Yeah.
And in singleness, there's a population that has been that they will be single, and that's just part of it. And so, oh no, I know. Thank God you're sitting down, Caleb. But then the idea is, if you can't have sex, then why go on?
Yeah.
Right? Again, it's been so sexualized as a culture that it's seeped over into Christianity, and now it becomes this marquee thing in their relationship where you can have intimacy, believe it or not, by not having sexual intercourse, right? You don't have to have sex. You're not going to die.
Right. Well, and that's okay. That was going to be my next thing, is that some men think if they don't have a sexual release, like it will be damaging to their health. And
look what you made me do.
So can you please Google the research that's actually been done on this? Because scientific research that will prove if you don't have sex, you won't die.
It's kind of a victim mentality to say, well, my wife wouldn't give me sex, so I had to go look at the porn.
Yeah.
And again, it's just, I don't even know where to pull the string on that one. But yeah, it's over sexualization of society, thinking that sex is going to cover a lot of issues. Mm-hmm. I would mandate more for casual affection and physical touch, hand-holding, hugging, cuddling, all those things as essentially important precursors that need to happen before any territory of sexualization is approached.
Right. And well, how about if we take sex off the pedestal and not make it an idol in our life? That hand-holding, intimate conversation,
oh my gosh,
could fulfill you, and you might. I mean, it usually does lead to sex, but it will fulfill you so much that you won't be like, I have to have sex. I have to have sex. You'll feel so connected with your wife.
Yes.
That it doesn't have to, right? Because a lot of men will be like, okay, fine, I'll sit down and talk to my wife about emotions just so I can have sex with her tonight.
Yeah, right?
And so
you're doing it wrong.
Right. It's, hey, I'm going to sit down and talk to my wife about emotions because I want to be connected with her, period.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes, and there's not some agenda.
There's no agenda.
That you're working on.
Right.
And that goes, and I've talked about this in podcasts before, where men will mask the vulnerable feelings with sex. So, she wants to cuddle and handhold, and there's emotions brought up in him that he doesn't know how to deal with, maybe of vulnerability, maybe of intimacy. Yeah. And so immediately he, is putting on the Marvin Gaye and wanting to get it on, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, well, let me sit in this moment and be with this. Man, I've talked to guys who are like super uncomfortable with that physical touch, but they have no problem having sex with their wives.
Right. But if every time your wife holds your hand and opens up to you, you immediately think that gets you sex, eventually she's going to stop wanting to hold your hand and open up to you.
Then you're robbing yourself.
Yeah, because she's going to be like, that's the only reason you're doing it is for sex.
Yeah,
not
it won't
because
take
you really
long.
Want to connect with me.
Sure. And that's vitally important to get to the root of why it's important to connect, not just I'm going to get it on or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is sex is not mandatory in marriage.
No, it's not. So stop thinking it's mandatory. Stop that.
I might be chuckling a little bit because I want to know how many people started listening to this podcast. The men who are like, yes, I'm going to have my wife listen to this. She's going to be told she has to have sex with me. And then they're like, I hope my wife never finds this podcast.
Destroy all. We're going to have bricks through flyer. I'm going to fly through my trailer window.
I'll tell you where Chris lives now.
Wow.
Just kidding.
So I don't know. We might have beaten this horse.
Yeah, so I think on the other end of that, we've learned that sex is a good gift from God.
Yeah. Yes.
That is created to give us connection and intimacy mutually, not for one side or the other.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's not the only way to get connection.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yes.
And I don't think anywhere in the Bible, I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, nowhere in the Bible does it say it's the only way to get connection.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
you're
nowhere does
absolutely
it
right.
say you're married, you must have sex all the time, and that's how
Well,
you
and that's the
connect your wife.
over-sexualization of our culture that then seeps into our Christianity.
Yeah.
That then guys say, you have to because it says here.
Yeah.
Which is totally not respecting her and seeing her as an individual.
Right.
And it's also like, I love what it says in that verse in, was it Corinthians,
Yeah,
right?
1 Corinthians.
It's like, it's self-sacrificial. Like you're giving up your body for someone else's pleasure, right? And for their, but you're connected at the same time. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
It's less focused on your own needs and more focused on the needs of.
But I think it's a dual thing. It's a mutual thing.
Right. You're both
Yeah.
focused on.
Yes, you're focused on their needs, but you're doing it for pleasure too. And one of the things
Yeah.
I have to remind wives in couples counseling is like, it's meant to be pleasurable for you too.
Yeah.
And she's like shocked.
Right.
And in our culture, and the story that's repeated again and again is oftentimes women's first sexual experience is not pleasant.
Isn't that sad?
It is sad. It is sad, and that makes me feel. I get emotional about that because that makes me feel like, as a man, it's like we have abdicated a lot of responsibility there.
Yeah, well, think about the big, I don't know, it's been on social media and the news. The big question this week was, if you were lost in the woods, would you rather be with a bear or a man?
Oh, yeah.
And
whoa.
And this has been asked to women.
Oh,
and
my
the
gosh.
answer has been by far a bear.
Oh, my word.
Women, because they would feel safer with the bear, like because men have, I don't want to say destroyed women, but have
Screwed it
become
up,
just
man.
so unsafe that women would
and
rather be
especially
with
we
a bear.
as Christian men. Come on, Christians.
Yeah.
I mean, if the culture at large is failing on such a big way, we cannot mirror that culture.
Right.
We've
Right.
got to be better than that. We've got to take on the mantle of what God has called us to and the joy and the privilege of that. Right. And, I knew I started to mature when I put my wife's joy and happiness above my own because I knew that I was taken care of in the Lord.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning that, right? It doesn't happen every single day.
Right.
But the idea that the first foot is to say a bear.
Yeah.
And who knows who they asked? Who knows
Well,
the
it's
context
been
around
everywhere
that?
right now. Like, and so even like whatever they asked in the research, I don't know what that
Right.
is, but just people are asking it on their social medias. I've watched newscasts where they've asked people,
Right.
just random people, and the majority is bear.
So that's sounds like a whole nother podcast, which
totally.
I'd love to get into, but
We can.
we cannot over sexualize women as a culture and not expect some bad results.
Right.
So, but again, I
Right.
go back to Christians. We need to be apart from the culture. We are exiles in Babylon, and we need to be different. And I'm not talking about bootstrap be better than, but what I'm talking about is, Lord, you have me here.
Right.
And sex is not my ultimate pinnacle goal,
Right.
not like it is for the world.
Right.
And so whether I have sex or I don't have sex, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not mandatory.
Right. I mean, husbands are to love wives as Christ loved the church.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that wives should be choosing a bear.
Yes. This
Right.
could go in 5,000 directions. I always
Says
Yeah.
husbands laid down your lives, right?
It's
Right.
served as Christ
Right.
did for the
Yep.
church. Yes.
But the Christian woman can't trust that because
Because
then
men aren't living up to that either.
right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's and again, this is not a man bash thing at all.
Right.
I know men have a lot too. And it's just women we have been thrown a lot on our shoulders, especially in the sex thing.
Yes.
Especially from Christians. Well, don't dress this way, don't act that way, don't talk that way, don't do this, don't do that. And it even goes back, I don't know if you guys watched the Barbie movie. The newest
I did.
One. Okay.
I did.
So the whole monologue that America Fiera, her character, talks about, like, I sobbed through that whole thing, which I know a lot of women who did, because it's so true. Like,
what was the gist of
it? Don't be like, be good, but don't be too good, because then men will be threatened. All of this stuff of like, we constantly have to find that balance as a woman. Like, look sexy for your husband, but don't look too sexy, then another man will look upon you. Right? But look sexy for your husband, so he doesn't go look at another woman.
Oh gosh.
And it is this just constant.
That's actually where the mentality of the burqa comes in, is that women are responsible for causing lust.
Right.
It's like, if you're lusting after women, there's a deeper issue, guys.
Yeah, that's your issue. It's not ours. It's not ours. I'm not saying we don't have issues. I have my issues. I have my issues. My elbow causing you to sin is not one of them.
Crazy elbow. And so, and then I think as men honor this position that they have, but the result of that is feeling better. It's like a form of adulting here. When I don't throw a tantrum and demand my way, and I feel like I've taken care of, and I've done things to take care of my wife, to truly care for her, who she really is, not who I think she should be. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Then there's a loop that is created where she feels loved and appreciated, and that's a great response. Right. And it starts with not seeing your wife as a thing, but believe it or not, an actual person.
An actual person.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whew, that was good.
All right. Well, hey, if this podcast has benefited you in any way, by all means,
like and subscribe.
Run, don't walk to the like and subscribe button. Not only that, leave us a review, because it can help other people get wind of this podcast, and we can spread the love.
Yep.
Then we can take over the world.
That's our plan.
Maybe not.
Just joking.
Yes.
See you next time.
All right.
Thanks for joining us today as we continue our journey talking about life's many questions.
To stay connected with us, you can follow us at Downey Park Counseling on both Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow Caroline on Instagram at Relatable Caroline. And make sure you tune in next week for our next question.